Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is Sebastian Younger.
This is Daryl Amy.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summit.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Hey everybody, welcome to another album fight. This is our second semifinal of the Love Mixtapes, and today we've got Brian Theis taking on Mike McKloskey. Mike's got more of a rock-centric vibe in his list, and of course Brian has built his on his songs that he does to woo his wife, and that's a powerful inspiration, and we've seen that as these guys have advanced out of the prelims. There are no prelim shows, but they were judged by our normal judges. And so today, let's meet our new judges, two first-timers. So let's first introduce the Fist of God, Todd Nemet, who's been on a number of times. Todd, thank you for being here. What are your initial thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, so I'm super excited about this fight. You know, I'm reading the Beastie Boys book right now, and there's a great section where Ad Rock talks about making mixtapes and, you know, like the cassette culture and decorating the cassettes and the outside of them and stuff. And so I think this is perfect timing, and I'm excited to do this.
And then we also have out of Virginia Beach, not our only Virginia Beach-based album fight judge, DJ Carlisle. DJ, tell us what your thoughts are in your first fight and the process and how it's gone.
Wow, I'm really excited to be a part of this. I listened last week, and it got me hyped for this one. Initially, my results are not initially what I thought they were going to be.
Perfect.
Which was amazing. It opened my eyes to things I had never heard in these songs before, even ones that I've heard, tons of times. So it really let me delve into these songs and pick them apart, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, I have faith that part of the system continues to work. And let's hear from our other brand new judge out of Mesa, Arizona, Dan White. Dan, how did you enjoy the experience for the first time, song v song?
My take is a little bit different. I had, just looking at the songs before I listened to some of them, I had a clear winner on which album, but one has an ace in the hole. Definitely tighten things up.
Okay. I like the aces in the hole. I guess we'll get to look at these aces real quick. First, let's have Phil introduce our fighters.
Today's album fight is another 10-round semifinal mixtape battle with the winner taking on Matt Menard in the final. In the red corner, featuring love songs from bands like Aerosmith, Whitesnake, and Bon Jovi, we have the 80s hair band mixtape from Mike McKloskey. And his opponent in the blue corner, with love songs from the likes of Frank Sinatra, Eric Clapton, and the Flaming Lips, we have the mixtape from Brian Theis. Let's get ready to ramble. Take it away, judges.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Phil. As always, a great job. Looking forward to your album art. And, of course, now we have to have Richard Lackie's patent-pending analysis. Richard, who do you think is going to take this thing?
All right, this semifinal round, we've got Mike versus Brian. And let me just start off by saying both these playlists have great, fantastic songs on them. I like a lot what Mike is doing with the hard rock / hairband angle, but I think personally Brian's is a little bit stronger as far as mixtapes goes. Now, that's not to say how it's going to work out in song v song. We'll get into that in a second. I will say, Brian, what really sold it for me on his was the inclusion of Do You Realize, and I think it is in the perfect spot in the last song for the playlist. I think that is a very, very genius decision. Okay, but I did figure out a number system on this, so I'm not going to be the one predicting. The numbers will. And according to the numbers, it was very definitive that Brian takes this, but not quite that simple. I did 3 different categories, almost just like we have 3 judges, with the 10 points available. And the first category, it was 1 for Mike, 5 for Brian, 4 ties. The second was 3 for Mike, 5 for Brian, 2 ties. The third was 2 for Mike, 5 for Brian, and 3 ties. So there you have 5 every time for Brian's. But the ties make it interesting, because if all those ties go to Mike, we could have ties. If they go to Brian, we could have a complete blowout. 1 or 2 rounds going 1 or 2 other ways could be a completely different fight. Well, I think this is Brian's fight to lose. The numbers are different enough to where I would say we could probably have a split decision here. Potentially even some ties here. I don't know. But as far as a final decision, I think we got a split decision. I think Brian takes it, though. Back to you guys.
Nice, Richard. That's close. So Richard is thinking, his intuition says Brian, but the numbers are weird, and there could easily be a split decision. So I guess, fellas, it's up to us. Let's just go ahead and get this thing started. Round 1, Love in the Elevator from Aerosmith versus Hello, I Love You from The Doors. DJ, why don't you start us off for round 1? What did you think?
Initially, I'd say this was one of the rounds I expected to go to the first mixtape, to number 3. Just because I don't like The Doors as much as some people do. So I was trying to give this track a chance to make it up. But let's see. So Love in an Elevator, Aerosmith. It's from my favorite Aerosmith album, Punk, 89. I got a Grammy nomination. It's a pretty popular song of theirs, which is not always a good thing. But I think in this instance it is. Joe Perry? Yeah, and Steven Tyler, they shine in this song. Steven Tyler is a master just of vocal restraint. He's got this gigantic voice. He doesn't always, he knows how to layer it. Start slow and just punch you in the face with it when he needs to. The guitar, the solo in the song is pretty good. I didn't remember it being that good as it was, but I listened to it 4 or 5 times. I really like the guitar work on the song. There's a long break right in the middle with no lyrics, which I tend to hate sometimes, but it didn't bother me in this song. They got a lot of channel switching, left and right in your earphones, which I liked. I think Steven Tyler is one of the best frontmen since Freddie Mercury. I don't know if that's a popular opinion or not.
That's your opinion, that's for sure. I think it counts. Keep going.
The Doors song, Hello, I Love You. Get that creepy calliope sound to it, which I'm not a big fan of. It's like you're in a haunted circus. I don't know. But and it's pretty simple lyrically, but it's catchy. It's iconic. It was like one of the songs I think that innovated stereo recording throughout the industry. But there was some plagiarism concerns. Supposedly the Kinks said that they stole the guitar riff from one of their songs. I don't know. This song, it's just simple. It seemed dated. The synth is almost distracting in the song. And the song is saved, I think, at the end by Morrison when he starts getting, angry and the tempo starts driving. He gets a little frantic. I really dug that. At the end, I gave this to Aerosmith 10-9.
How about you, Dan?
DJ, I don't think could have said it any better, so back to you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a Doors fan. I do think a lot of the Doors songs sound like you got a couple of clowns chasing you through a house of mirrors. Out of all the songs on each tape, I think these two, to me, seem just lyrically like, they're both really, heavy petting songs. It's just basically, in my opinion, just about sex, but it goes back to Aerosmith. Their sound is just so unique, and it's good, and it's upbeat. I got it 10-9 for Aerosmith, and the only reason this wasn't a knockout is because I am a fan of the Doors, but I'm more of a fan of Aerosmith. The songs, they're so much alike in their mannerisms, but yeah, it goes back to the Doors. Just all their songs kind of just bleed over into each other. And Aerosmith has such a variety with beats and lyrics and just their sound as a whole is so much different. I've got it 10-9 for Aerosmith.
Todd, how about you for round 1?
All right, so Aerosmith, I'm a big fan of Aerosmith, less so of the later kind of Aerosmith, but I like this song a lot. Oh, one thing I should back up and say, to prepare for this podcast, I went and I read the Greek and Roman conceptions of love, like eros, philia, and agape. So I'm now pretty much an expert in love. And both these songs are examples of eros, I would say. and you have both the lead singers there, personifying the id, basically, which I know came a lot later. But anyway, we got Love in an Elevator, which I like a lot. I kind of that's of their kind of mid to late stuff. This is one of their better songs. I always liked Joe Perry. Like, he was always doing something interesting. Like, no matter how crass or commercial or overproduced I get, Joe Perry's always doing something super interesting that I can learn from in the background. So I thought that was really good. Hello, I Love You, I think is a great song. Like, this is the angry kind of redneck poet Jim Morrison chasing some poor girl down, shouting at her, and that's kind of his thing, and I think that this is a great example of this, and I think it's a great kind of way to start it. It was like, hello at the beginning of the playlist. I think it's good. I also made a note about the circus music. I think Jim Morrison just constantly has circus music playing in his head, which is why that comes out. And maybe the mic got too close to his head. But anyway, I gave this one to The Doors 10-9. But it was close.
Right. I like it. A nice tight round. Well, let's go ahead and do round 2. 10 Seconds to Love by Motley Crue. Awesome choice. And Strangers in the Night by Frank Sinatra. Totally similar things, but totally different approaches to it. Dan, why don't you give us your notes?
So I had this as a knockout round. I think this 10 Seconds to Love Motley Crue is just an album filler. Frank Sinatra, I think he could read the ingredients on a shampoo bottle and turn it into a song, and it go platinum. Love at First Sight, it actually has just a meaning. When I met my wife, that's it's a song that was popular to me. So yeah, I had to knock out Frank Sinatra 10 and Motley Crue 8.
Nothing wrong with that. DJ, how did you see the round?
So 10 Seconds to Love. I'm not a big fan of hair bands. I think I already said that, but this song in particular is like everything I dislike about hair bands. Vince Neil has no restraint in this song vocally. He just starts out just punching you right in the face. It's just too much. Tommy Lee sounds good. Nikki Sixx sounds good. It's catchy, kind of, the vocals ruin it for me. It gets better in the breakdown, when it slows down a little bit. The guitar comes out, and it's just the drum and the bass. And Vince Neil kind of lowers down a little bit. It's actually a decent sound there, I think. But, it's just not my favorite. Maybe I should have made it a knockout, but I didn't. But, Frank Sinatra is, does it get any better vocally? I don't know. He's the best crooner. The orchestration in the song is amazing. It's just a clinic in vocal performance. It's smooth. It's timeless. It's a great song. So I gave this 10-9 for Frank Sinatra.
All right, now let's go to our Master of Love. Todd, how did you have the second round?
So this one was difficult for me, and similar to DJ, I'm not a big fan of hair bands, and I'm not exactly sure aesthetically why. Like, in high school, all my girlfriends were like Prince and DeBarge or whatever, and I was into Russian Pink Floyd, and so this was kind of one genre that was left out. But I gave everything a fair listen, and sometimes multiple listens. I had marked some rounds to re-listen, even though I'd listened multiple times, and this is one of those. And I liked the 10 Seconds to Love. Like, the more I listened to it, I liked it. The gun is a metaphor for a penis. I think that never gets old. I think that's a good one. And then it switches to the camera as a metaphor for a penis. And I think that's somewhat lacking, because camera is actually Latin for room, so I think it might be a metaphor for something else. But anyway, I like it vocally. I like the guitar stuff, for what it is. It's pretty good. And then we got Frank Sinatra. I'm not a big fan of the crooners or Frank Sinatra. It's much, much better put together than I thought, because I don't think I've ever listened to the song all the way through multiple times. It's really well put together. But, whenever I hear about the Greatest Generation, I think, well, they liked Sinatra and Bing Crosby. Like, how great could they have been, really? And then at the end is like, it's like Joe Piscopo, you remember those old Saturday Night Lives? Like, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, hey, Joe Piscopo singing the end part. That's pretty good. So to sum this up, I gave it to Motley Crue 10-9.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and go on to round 3. Love Bites from Def Leppard versus Van Morrison's Moondance. Todd, start us off.
Okay, sounds good. Love Bites. This is another one of those songs that I liked more on the second and third listen. There's obviously a double meaning here with Love Bites, possibly even a triple one. It's funny because I read the lyrics as I go through, and these lyrics, they reminded me of middle school or high school where you read the troubadour sonnets or whatever. Like they wouldn't be out of place with that, except for like the stuff about directly making love or whatever. But I thought lyrically it's good. I can't. Is that really what Def Leppard sounds like live? I've never seen them live before.
I don't know.
It's an amazing sound for a live record. Those usually are the bad ones. Anyway, I like that song, but Moondance is a classic one. I think what you have here, it's October. This is our last chance to have sex outdoors for a while, so we should try to get at that. An example of ludus type of love, which is a Roman concept of playful love, would be. So that's a good. We got a new kind of love in here, which I think is good. And I just think Moondance is just classic, so I give it to Van Morrison 10-9.
That's fantastic. DJ, how about you?
This was my toughest round. I listened to Love Bites, and I really enjoyed this song. Surprisingly, it's got some R&B elements. I think the song was initially written as a country song before Def Leppard, co-opted it. The harmonies are great. The chorus it stays with you. It sticks in your head. You just singing it. The only thing I didn't like is the Transformer music, the voice intro. Like, what are they trying to make the song more metal? I don't know what that was. But the vocals are powerful and they're understated, but they're still powerful. It's one of my favorite Hairband songs, I guess. I really enjoyed this. And then Moondance, you get drunk Van Morrison trying to recover after the Brown Eyed Girl, the album after Brown Eyed Girl. I think it was terrible. And this album was great. The song was amazing. It's got that jazz, snap your fingers, beat poet kind of feel to it. It's got the jazz flute and the sax, which normally annoys me, piano, but it doesn't annoy me for some reason. All that's done really well. The song was stuck in my head. The melody was stuck in my head for days. Came back, listened to the song multiple times. I wasn't thrilled with the use of fantabulous. I don't know if that really is a word. But other than that, I think it was it wasn't a clear winner. It was very tight, but I gave it to Moondance 10-9.
How about you, Dan?
I am a fan of hair bands. As a teenager growing up in the 90s and late 80s, Love Bites actually has a personal touch for me. My first girlfriend, it was her favorite song. Moondance, which I know I'm going to get beat up for this. I honestly had never heard that song before. Until I did some research on it. Prior to that, I didn't have this one close, but I did actually tighten up quite a bit. I liked it. It's got a good beat to it, and they both kind of, there was a difference. Obviously, Love Bites song to me is about double-edged love, and the Moondance was trying to actually get to that point of love. So I had it scored Def Leppard 10, Van Morrison 9.
All right. You guys are doing great. And just thinking about what's happening so far, one, we got Mike McKloskey's list, the list with the hair bands on it. And I feel like I'm in the strip club, and I like that kind of love. Todd, what love variety is that?
That would be Eros.
Okay, Eros. All right. I like it.
I feel like somebody took the mixtape from the Tilt-A-Whirl at the fair from the guy. And put it down.
Yeah, this is like if you broke into a Z80 and then you grabbed the cassette that was in there.
Yes, exactly right. And a lot of hairspray for the dude and the chick. Let's go round 4. Used to Love Her by Guns N' Roses, a interesting love song choice, versus I Try by Macy Gray. And DJ, I'm going to have you start us off.
Oh boy. This Used to Love Her, to me, this is the worst song on this mixtape. It's a parody song. It was written tongue-in-cheek. It's almost like a Weird Al parody song. It's simple, it's sophomore, which normally I don't have a problem with, but I don't think it fits well here. I like the southern rock flair of the music. The guitar work is pretty good. Axl's being Axl, which is good sometimes. I don't think this song fit. I didn't like it at all. And it would have been a knockout had I Tried been a better song.
Right.
I like Macy Gray. I like her voice. It's unique. The lyrics are great. My world crumbles when you're not here. It's like that separation anxiety you get when you really love somebody and they leave. Like you're a 3-year-old child. But it happens to all of us. The music is simple. It's a produced pop song, which it doesn't stand out a whole lot, but it's fun and the lyrics are good and the voice is unique. So I gave it to Macy Gray 10-9. And like I said, it would have been, if this song would have moved, Guns N' Roses would have moved anywhere else in this list, it would have been a knockout, I think.
Wow. So they kind of both lined up with weaker tracks for you is what you're thinking.
Right.
Okay. Dan, how did you see it?
Once again, I think DJ said it right. Back to you. It's funny. Macy Gray, I like the song. Had this Guns N' Roses song been teamed up with any other one, it would have been a knockout. And Kevin Ortiz, if he hears this, he's probably going to block me on Twitter. But my note says, love equals killing equals good beat, but Axl is sick in the head. The lyrics to me seemed a bit dark amidst the good beat. Macy Gray, great voice. Can't live without you. It's an obsession. And I have Macy Gray 10, Guns N' Roses 9, and it was close to a knockout.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Todd, how did you do it?
That's interesting. So the Used to Love Her song is the one I actually had stuck in my head after listening to this. That's the one I was like walking around singing in the shower today. So this is an example. Used to Love Her is an example of Phil Autia. It's called self-compassion or self-care because, sometimes you have to kill your girlfriend just for your own mental health. And that's like a good example of self-care. I really like the country swang, just as DJ pointed out. Slash can do no wrong, and it's like the solo fits the song perfectly, kind of the slightly over the top, slightly country, slightly rock, and of course Axl's over the top. So it was a good song. I didn't hate it as much as everyone else. I mean, again, getting back to my talk about Ad Rock, and you made a lot of these cassettes to woo a woman, and this is not one I would put on to woo her. So I Tried by Macy Gray. Macy Gray is from Canton, Ohio, just like Marilyn Manson and just like my grandma and Grandpa Myers. So she gets an extra point for that. I don't like the key change. I love this song. I love the lyrics. I love this whole album. I used to listen to this all the time. And this is what I think a good mixtape should do, is remind you of good music that you forgot. Kind of bring that back into your mind again. I might bust out some Macy Gray and play that some more. At the end, where she's kind of, I don't know, scatting or whatever, it reminded like Fozzie Bear laughing a little bit. Kind of that. So it was a bad mental image to end the song on. But I gave it to Macy Gray 10-9.
Interesting. Fozzie Bear, often referenced in the album Fight. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to round 5. Why Can't This Be Love by Van Halen and To Make You Feel My Love by Bob Dylan. And I'm going to have Dan start us off.
This, to me, was the most competitive. The reason being is because, to me, Bob Dylan kind of seems like he has permanent post-nasal drip. The song To Make You Feel My Love was the ace in the hole. I don't think anybody could have did it better than Garth Brooks. I had it scored as close as I did because Van Halen is Van Halen. I am a fan of Sammy Hagar, and Why Can't This Be Love it's good upbeat love song. To Make You Feel My Love, to me, can either be reflected towards one of your kids, a girlfriend, a wife, a parent, a grandparent, a brother, a sister. It can cover so much. But I had this one scored Dylan 10 and Van Halen 9, and to me this was the most competitive round.
Todd?
So Van Halen, I'm not a big fan of Van Halen with Sammy Hagar. I'm just going to say that right up front. I'm slightly older than you guys, and so this is, to me, it's the classic Van Halen is sort of what Van Halen is. But I sat down with an open mind and I re-listened to it, and then I hated it all over again. It was better on headphones, surprisingly, and the guitar. I hated the sing along with the guitar solo. That was really bad. I hated the key change. I hated 1986. So I'm just not a fan. To Make You Feel My Love, this is Bob Dylan, but it's Billy Joel singing. Am I right about that? Billy Joel singing it, and Bob Dylan wrote it.
I listened to the Dylan vocals.
So did I. I went and found the Bob Dylan one. Actually, I like that one better, even though I'm not a fan of Dylan either. He's no Sammy Hagar though. But and then the Adele version, I think we've all heard that like 2 billion times. I like the Dylan version a lot better than the one that I believe Billy Joel sang. So I think To Make You Feel My Love is an example of storge, or like familiarity, empathy kind of love. So that makes it slightly more interesting. I gave that.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero, co-host of the Break It Down Show and fellow producer here at Lions Rock Productions. And I'm proud to announce our newest show coming in January. It's called Justice. Season 1 is going to be a deep dive into some of the cases I personally worked on as a licensed private investigator, and you'll get a unique view into the criminal justice system that may just challenge some of your personal notions about how it should work and open your eyes in ways you never imagined. So keep your ears open for Justice, a brand new podcast coming in January from Lions Rock Productions to iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Storge, or like familiarity, empathy kind of love. So that makes it slightly more interesting. I gave that 10-9 to Bob Dylan or Billy Joel.
All right. And then DJ, how did you have it?
I also dislike Van Hagar with a passion. I did not like the heavy synth at the beginning, and it kind of went through the whole song. That being said, this is not Jump, so this is not the worst Van Hagar song. And they really have a tendency to get ultra cheesy. This really wasn't. It's one thing that saved it. The song is about shooting your shot. You're not going to win the game sitting on the bench. All I know is you've got to run to win, and I'll be damned if I get hung up on the line. It's got a good message. So I'm trying to talk this up, even though I really didn't like it a lot. If this the Dylan song, okay, I love Bob Dylan as a songwriter. I hate Bob Dylan as a vocalist. Uh-huh. He's horrible. He sounds like Kermit the Frog with strep throat. I don't know. I like Billy Joel. See, the problem is I like the Billy Joel vocal version better, but the arrangement on this version is much better, I think. But the vocals are just so distracting to me. This is such an iconic song. Like everybody's mentioned, Billy Joel, Garth Brooks, Adele. They've all done great versions with it. It's completely commercially successful with these versions too, even though they're covers, which is hard to do. That's a credit to how good the song was written. But if he would have put any of the other versions on here, I think this would have won. But I gave this 10-9 to Van Halen.
Wow. All right. Well, okay, so we're halfway through, and this is what I want to ask you guys. It seems as though Brian's mixtape is got the range on Mike's mixtape. Is there a sense from any of you on why he's basically won every round in the first 5 rounds except for the first? I mean, Love in the Elevator for sure went to Mike, but all the other 4 has Brian's taken pretty handily. What's your guys' sense?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if this was a mixtape I was making for a woman to woo someone. I think that Mike is trying to woo Lita Ford, possibly, or maybe one of the women in Vixen. I think Brian is trying to woo maybe Daria from the MTV show.
Okay.
Or maybe her friend Jane. I don't know. And so I think I'm more in that zone, like the Daria zone, than the Lita Ford zone.
So. You like your girl to wear a knit cap as opposed to leather pants?
Well, yeah, if you put it that way, I don't know. I need to think about it a little bit more.
Dan or DJ, any thoughts on how we're at right now?
Well, me personally, the second half is going to be quite the opposite of the first half. Okay. But I think the way that the songs were set up, it's the proverbial, you got to play all 4 quarters to win.
Yeah.
And I think that Brian blew his load in the first half.
All right. So Brian is the.
I think that Brian started off very, very mainstream, like Frank Sinatra, Van Morrison. You can't get any more in the zone than that. And then it gets progressively more eclectic and more obscure. Right. And I like that because there are many of the songs in the last part that I hadn't heard before, but I really liked, and I was appreciative. He turned me on to them. Whereas, Mike's mixtape, super straight down the middle, hair band, every song has the word love in it. Like it's, he's got a mood and he's feeling it.
And DJ, you've also similarly have given the first 5 rounds, and the advantage right now goes to Brian. Do you have a sense at all what was happening there?
Like I said, I expected this to be even more to Brian. I'm surprised I gave 2 rounds to Mike here, but like I said, the order really mattered. The order
song,
yeah, like that Guns N' Roses song. It would have changed the score dramatically, I think.
Right. And in reference to Brian's premature ejaculation that Dan claims, Todd, what kind of love is that?
That would also be Eros.
Okay.
But it could be with somebody you've been with for a while. Then that would be Pragma.
Okay, perfect. Let's go. Round 6. Fool for Your Lovin', Whitesnake versus Wonderful Tonight, Eric Clapton. Let's go ahead and have Todd start this one off.
All right. Fool for Your Loving, Whitesnake. This is the 1989 version, not the 1980 version that David Coverdale did not prefer. So I went back and listened to the 1980 version, and I actually did like that one better, too. It rocked a little bit harder. It was a little bit good. The lyrics, so tired of trying, I always end up crying or whatever. I think the Hairspray starting to seep in maybe a little bit to the brain layer. But it's a good song. It's solid, and I like it. And I like the earlier version was raw. I think that was on the first album. So Wonderful Tonight, Eric Clapton. This, I think I've listened to Slow Hand, probably more times I've got my hair cut, probably. It's just, this is one of those albums that was in my Walkman for a solid year and a half. This is a good example of Pragma as well, with the long-standing love, because, she drives him home, he's drunk, and they're reassuring each other. So this is a good example of a different kind of love. And, of course, Patty Boyd, who's had all these different songs written about her. I like the song. It has a good mood. It's a nice ballad. It doesn't go on too long like some ballads do. The guitar, obviously, is very tasteful. So I gave it to Eric Clapton, 10-9.
All right. DJ?
Yeah, it's pretty in line with me. Listen to the Whitesnake song. The vocals were good. I liked it. They were Coverdale. He didn't do a lot with it, but they were strong. They flowed with this music very well. It's pretty straightforward. There was a note that maybe the song was originally written for B.B. King.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but it did have that. It had a little blues into it. But other than that, it was pretty straightforward. There was not a lot of meat on the bones of that song. And it wasn't bad. It was just kind of meh. It wasn't anything special to me. Now, Eric Clapton, I mean, the song, on the surface, if you just read the lyrics, it reads as like a journal entry. It doesn't seem like anything special, but what he does with it is magical. It's classic. The guitar, like Todd said, it's in there, and it springs the song up. It's beautiful. It was easy for me. 10-9 for Eric Clapton here.
Good call. Dan?
Listening to DJ and listening to Todd talk about, these different versions and how they went and looked at the lyrics and read this and read that. I feel like I'm driving the short bus into this. So I'm just basically listening to the song and, this is better than this. Whitesnake was one of the few hair bands I really didn't like. I believe it was Todd that said the earlier version is better. It is. But Eric Clapton is Eric Clapton. He, like Frank Sinatra, can read the ingredients off the back of a frozen pizza and make a song out of it.
Right.
So I had Eric Clapton 10 and Whitesnake at 9.
When Eric Clapton redid Layla, there's a lot of strength in saying that the unplugged version was maybe better than the original. And no, that's kind of blasphemous. But there was never a discussion that with this song, 'cause I think however you perform Wonderful Tonight, you've got a special song. Like, it just doesn't matter. If you want to croon it, rock it, whatever it's going to be, it's going to work. Don't you guys think that that's true?
I think, that guitar riff is pretty special. It stands out.
Yeah, I think Motley Crue could probably screw it up. But
a rat. We'll get to them.
Other than that, Pete, I think you're right. I think anybody can play it and probably make some money off of it.
Yeah. And if you look at the 45, the cover of the 45 for Wonderful Tonight, Eric Clapton looks a lot like Ron Swanson.
That's fantastic.
There was no jazz food, though.
Or Ron Swanson looks a lot like Eric Clapton, I guess.
Yeah, he could have modeled his look on Eric Clapton. I don't know.
I will say this. There are 2 songs in this album fight that held their own in every single round, including across the CompuBox judge numbers in general. There are 2. The second one you would never guess. This one, Wonderful Tonight. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. We'll get to the next song here in a couple of rounds, but I was surprised at the difference, because if I was to say to you guys, of the 20 songs, pick 2 that will be unanimous, you absolutely wouldn't get this next one. But first, let's get to Round 7, Love Song, Tesla, versus I and Love and You by the Avett Brothers. Go ahead and start us off, DJ.
All right, I'm going to start with the Avett Brothers song. I had never heard this song. I've heard of the Avett Brothers. They kind of slid under my radar. This song is the song I listen to by far the most out of any of these 2 mixtapes. I really love this song. It's hauntingly beautiful. The problem I have with this song here is it's not really a love song. I don't think. I think the love in this instance is a metaphor. I haven't figured out exactly what the you is in the metaphor. I don't know if he's talking to himself or his parents. But to me, the song is about chasing your dreams. So he's leaving his old life behind. He's packing up. He's telling everybody he's going to Brooklyn to try to follow his dreams. I think the second verse, the bright-eyed lady that he's dancing with, I think maybe is his fate. I think it's all a metaphor, which it kind of fits in with the Avett Brothers. And then by the end of the song, he's mad. He's mad. He can't even look at himself in the mirror anymore because he failed to live up to what he set out to be. Every exit on the highway is the same. No matter what I do, I'm going to end up right here. It's beautiful. It's a hauntingly beautiful song. I don't think it was a love song, though. And it went against this Tesla song, which is an operatic masterpiece. I've never heard the song either. I know Tesla, signs, but this is the guitar in this. I would have thought it was extreme or something. The guitar was amazing.
Yeah,
it had movements like an opera. It started with the guitar, by itself. The vocals, Jeff Keith was compelling. I don't know. It's repetitive. The lyrics it's completely repetitive, but they do it so well you don't even notice because of the layers of the song. So to me, I gave this 10-9 to Tesla.
All right, I like it. Dan, how did you have round 7? By the way, this is the Burford round. I don't know if you guys have noticed or thought that maybe the mixtapes kind of slow down here, but this is kind of the round when things get tough in a traditional album. If you guys have any thoughts on that, I'll take them in a second. But Dan, first do your breakdown.
Once again, I'm looking for the microphone in my office because DJ had it pretty close to what I was thinking. Other than the conclusion on I and Love and You, I just thought it. To me, even after reading the lyrics and listening to it, I like the tone of the song, the beat of the song. It just seemed like it just rambled about nothing to me, and it didn't seem too much like a love song. And Tesla was, modern day cowboy. Signs was always one of my favorite hair bands, and I think that in the '90s they sort of transformed that a little bit to be more mainstream. So, yeah, I scored it 10-9 Tesla.
All righty. Todd?
That's really interesting. I'm taking into account what you guys just said and trying to reformulate. Yeah, when Love Song first started by Tesla, I thought it reminded me of Who's Behind the Door by Zebra. Do you remember that crazy song? So I immediately shut everything down and then went and listened to that song, which I love. There's a lot going on. I mean, DJ said it way more eloquently. My notes say there's a lot packed into 5 minutes and 24 seconds. That's about what I think everything DJ said expands on that. it has that weird little D suspended fourth thingy that guitarists do, and I don't like it. It sounds kind of lazy. You know what I'm talking about? But anyway, I love it. It's a power ballad. Like you said, it has movements. It's like a hair band, Bohemian Rhapsody. Pretty good. The Avett Brothers is great. We finally have a song from this century, which is exciting. And I've never heard this song. I think this is the first one. No, that's not true. But I hadn't heard this song. I did a search for the song title, and IamLoveandYou.com is actually a pet food store. But the lyrics are amazing. Brooklyn, take me in. Are you aware of the shape I'm in? That's an amazing lyric, I'm going to have to say. I agree with DJ. Like, it's not really clear what the song's about, how it's relevant to love, other than, perhaps Philadelphia again with, you want to get your head straight first before you can go on to another relationship. And maybe you got to follow your dreams and sort that out before you can get involved. But that's a pretty roundabout way to get to love. But anyway, I really like that I Am Loving You song. Regardless of its relevant, I gave it 10-9 over Tesla.
10-9. All right. That completes the Burford round. Now we'll go round 8. Still Loving You from the Scorpions versus Never Had Nobody Like You from M. Ward. So let's go ahead and have Dan start this one.
So this to me was a knockout. Scorpions to me are just they're hard to beat on anything they do, and whatever genre or type of song you want to put it up against. The vocals are always good. They just work well together. I had never heard this song from M. Ward before, so I looked it up and listened to it. And to me, it was just hard to listen to. I had to force feed it to myself 2 or 3 times, just so I could come in here and say that, it was hard to listen to. So I had this scored Scorpions 10, Ward 8 added a knockout.
All right, 10-8. Ward is on his knee. Todd, anything different for you?
Not a whole lot different. So the M Ward song, I liked it. I think I liked it more, more than Dan did. One thing I liked was the references to all the other songs, like Time Out of Mind, the album by Bob Dylan, and Hold Fast to the Right by Dolly Parton, and maybe I Want to Thank You with Sam and Dave, I don't know, and ABC 123, right? So I really liked that. I thought that was super clever, working that into a love song and working that into a story, and like how this came before this, and before that I was like this. There's an interesting backward lookingness to it, and it's super interesting lyrically, but musically it didn't really grab me. I didn't like the backup vocals that much either. I wanted to like it because the lyrics are fantastic. And then the Scorpions, this is a classic. Like this, when this would come on WIOT, the Rock of Toledo, I would just stop whatever I was doing and listen to it. Like how you pick up a cat by the scruff of their neck and they just stop. That's what this song does to you, and it's so good. And I don't think I ever heard the lyrics, and it's about, the end of a relationship and then starting it over and get over your pride and do that. It's pretty deep, for Germans, or maybe not actually. But it's just great. The arpeggios and the lead line snaking through the arpeggios and everything. It's just a fantastic song. So I give it to Scorpions 10-9.
And DJ, what did you think of this round?
I think I had this even closer than Todd. The M. Ward song, I never heard of him. Apparently he's released a lot of music under different names. But I liked the song. It was catchy. It had that jock jams beat that gets used a lot. And the lyrics were clever. I did think that Zooey Deschanel, this was her best duet since she sang with Buddy the Elf. But I don't think it was enough to take down this Scorpion song. The Klaus, the vocals on this song are amazing. He starts low and soft, it's tender, and then he hits you with that power in the middle. I mean, it is an amazing song. I couldn't say it any better than Todd did. The music was beautiful, which it hurts me to say that about a hair band, but it was a gorgeous song. And this is another thing that maybe the M Word song, I liked it a lot. I think I'll listen to it more. It would have definitely beat Guns N' Roses and probably this next Rat song too. But in this case, I have the 10-9 for the Scorpions.
So this is an interesting point. I don't know. And Dan and Todd, what do you guys think? Would you put the Scorpions in the hair band genre, or is that just sort of because there's they're not like musically they're not like, say, Iron Maiden, but technically, like, their technical ability is at that level where they're, like you said, Todd, there's a lot going on in these songs, and they're constructed with a very solid base in theory. But what are your guys' thoughts on why are they a hair band, and how come they've been left behind?
They're sort of a proto hair band, I think. They're a little bit before these guys. And I don't think I heard any synthesizers, and I don't know enough about the Scorpions. Like, I know that other song where he's in Alcatraz and he has the spoons on his face, but I'm not familiar with their oeuvre, But I feel like they predate this, so they're more influential, which makes them stronger in some ways, and then kind of paler in other ways because they influence stuff that people took further.
I think the Scorpions, to me, I put in the same realm of like Tesla and Aerosmith. I think that you can consider them a hair band depending on which song it is. They've been able to evolve with their music and their sound to stay relevant up until at least the late 90s. And the same with Tesla and same with Aerosmith. Obviously, there's not a whole lot. I honestly can't think of another band that has evolved like Aerosmith has.
There's an interesting thing too. Aerosmith got very commercial in their last trimester of real success. So you sort of had like the early rock and roll crazy years. You had the we're trying to not be so high years, and then like the post Run DMC years, and it's like Pump and all those kind of really formulaic songs. But that put them in a different level. Even though I wouldn't say the songs were any better, they were just a lot more consumer friendly. Is that unfair?
No, that's a good analysis.
It's not unfair, but I do think some of those newer songs were better than they get credit for too.
Okay,
like What It Takes is amazing. I think
that's true. And Honkin' on Bobo, that whole album I actually enjoy. I do like it. I swear to God, I can't. You always feel bad about liking Aerosmith, and yet they're the band of Tesla, Aerosmith, and Scorpions. They're the band that you think of as being the monster, even though, like, I'm embarrassed to say that I like every song on Pump. It's like,
well, I got my son a turntable, and he has the first 5 or 6 Aerosmith albums, and I made sure that he had all those. We went out and got them. And they're fantastic.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and go to the penultimate round here. Round 9, You're in Love by Rat versus Wanted Man by Matt Kearney. Okay, Todd, start us off.
All right, You're in Love. Again, another double meaning by Rat. So in Greek mythology, there are these spirits called the Mania, who represented sort of insanity and frenzy. They were considered to have nursed Eros. Like they're the ones that nursed him, and that's why Eros is so powerful. So I think this is a good example of the Mania, perhaps. It's a good song. I listened to it a couple times, and it kind of grew on me the more I listened to it. And I thought this was the second Rat song, but it turns out the Motley Crue song was Motley Crue, not Rat. Matt Kearney, it's an interesting song. I like how it captures sort of that early love and that early breakup, and that colors kind of every other relationship after that. Like, I think Jason Isbell captured that, like in Chaos and Clothes. He did it's a similar kind of thing. That's a hard concept to encapsulate. They did it really, really well. This song is from this year, which I thought was good. And Wanted Man obviously has a double meaning to it. But it sounded a little bit too much like I was sitting in Starbucks while I was listening to it. I didn't like the production choices sort of that they made. It's a good song, but I would maybe pick it up and give it to someone else, or pick it up or give it to another producer. So, but I did give it to Matt Kearney barely over Rat, 10-9.
So it comes from the coffee house XM channel too much for you.
Exactly.
A little less Jason Mraz and a little more somebody else, please.
Yeah, like a little bit more. Yeah, exactly. Like go more towards Jason Isbell. Go away from Mraz. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. DJ, how about you?
I think even Mraz would have sang this song a little better. It seemed washed. like it was left in the washing machine. It was nothing amazing about it. It was good. It was good. The lyrics were great. I thought they would be cliche. It really didn't end up feeling so cliche. The wanted man symbolism, it was pretty good. I liked it. It would have maybe lost to another song, and it would have this rat song would have been knocked out by another song. I think this is another case of that. I did not like this at all. The music was good, but it sounded like it was sung by a horde of zombie robots. I didn't like it. So this was 10-9 for Matt Kearney.
So I have to ask, robots run on some kind of dynamo, some kind of power source. What does an undead robot run on?
Brains.
Okay,
I guess.
Perfect. Dan, top that.
I can't. I'm one of the, I guess, dead robots. But no, once again, Rat, hairband, big fan of Rat. This song, not so much. It would have been beat by a lot of Brian's other songs. This song, Wanted Man, I had actually never heard of it. And so I listened to it. And after listening to it a couple of times, it started to grow on me a little bit. But I had to move on. The reason this song had some kind of meaning to me, my wife once told me, a successful marriage is a woman who can, make her man feel wanted and convince him that his idea was actually his idea when it was her idea. So that's kind of what I got from that song. This is the only, I think that song would have beat, a couple of other songs of Mike's, but I had this one actually a tie at 9-9. I didn't think either one of them were worth a 10.
Okay, so we got a 10-point must. You got to pick either. You got to make it 10-10 and take your whipping for being a coward and not picking, or you have to pick a winner. So who do you want to pick?
I'll give it to Wanted Man. I'll give it 10 to Wanted Man if I have to.
All right.
I'm actually going to go back and listen to it a couple more times after we're done, and maybe it'll grow on me even more.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair enough. Let's do the final round, round 10. You Give Love a Bad Name from Bon Jovi, an excellent closer. Not sure if it's a love song. We'll have to find out from Todd. Versus Do You Realize from the Flaming Lips, another strong closer. Let's go ahead and have DJ start us off.
I love Bon Jovi. Shoot me, I guess, or sue me or something. But I had this album on vinyl. I had it on cassette. I bought it when it came out on CD. I don't know why I love Bon Jovi. It wasn't in my wheelhouse.
Shot through the heart, and you're too late, darling. You give love a bad name.
Justice Out, just Slippery When Wet too. Nothing else after that. I love this song. It kind of embodies that angst, that teenage angst. Like you got this girlfriend, but she's gonna do you wrong because she's dirty. She's the lyrics are great, the music is great, it's driving, it gets stuck in your head. It's not the best song on the album, that's Living on a Prayer, but it's right there. An angel's smile painted on your lips, bright red nails on your fingertips. It's simple, I don't know why, but I love that line. I love this song. I'd never heard this Flaming Lips song. I know them from Vaseline, which I love. But this song was great.
Yeah.
But once again, I don't think it was a love song, which I don't know what my criteria should have been, but this song felt like a musical version of Jack Handy. So he's telling you, the listener, that you're okay, you're beautiful, you're okay. And then once he, butters you up with that, he goes, but everybody you love is going to die. I don't know where that's going, but it's just a song of self-affirmation. I think it's great. It's going to be in my rotation now. I really like the song, but I couldn't give it the win over Bon Jovi. So 10-9 for Bon Jovi.
Dan, how about you?
So Bon Jovi to me is a lot like Tom Petty and really has never made a terrible song. You Give Love a Bad Name takes me back to the I'm maybe 10 years old. Me and my cousin Scott dancing around listening to it on the radio. which sounds kind of weird, but it brings back some good memories. Do You Realize it's a great song. It reminds me a lot of Pink Floyd. I don't know why. It's something I think that Pink Floyd could have got away with singing. Both really good, strong songs. There's not a lot that would have beat this Bon Jovi song. Same with the Flaming Lips song, but I had it scored 10 Bon Jovi, 9 Flaming Lips.
There's a lot of size in this song, and you're right. The Pink Floyd could sing it easily because they can handle that really atmospheric amplitude of the song. Todd, how did you have this last round?
All right. So Bon Jovi, You Give Love a Bad Name. First of all, is that an orchestra hit right before the second verse? Or they put an orchestra hit in there?
It might be, yeah.
You know that sound? Yeah, that's a little crazy. I like the lyric, Your Very First Kiss was your first kiss goodbye. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I've never a fan of Bon Jovi. It's funny, the comparison Dan made with Bon Jovi and Tom Petty, because they're sort of like, they're similar in the sense that all of a sudden they were elder statesmen, like they just kind of came out of nowhere. Like those first Petty albums rock, but like he's in the Trevin Wilburys, like he's with like super legends, and like John Bon Jovi kind of skipped some step in the middle too and got up there. I was never a huge fan. I listened to it. I gave it a fair listen. It rocks way more than I remembered it just from the radio. Do you realize this is, my first thought is this is a ripoff of Mind Games by John Lennon. It has like almost exactly the same thing, and it has that kind of tubular bells and the similar harmonies. And then when it says like everyone will die, there's some very Beatle-esque kind of chord changes in there when it does that. And I listened to the song a bunch of times. It really grew on me. I loved it. I found the video, and the first YouTube comment was, "I played this at my daughter's funeral," which was kind of depressing.
Boy.
And but this was written for a bandmate who was going through heroin withdrawals, and he was crying. He was really upset doing his band, and he just sat down, and this song just kind of came out, tumbled out of the guitar, and I think it's a fantastic song. It is like, and for a type of love, this would be sort of agape, like a spiritual or a selfless kind of love, where like happiness will make you cry, everyone will die, you are beautiful. And there's a selflessness to this song, and there's just kind of a dreaminess, and like John Lennon at his prime kind of dreaminess that I think is very transcendent. This is where, Brian's taking these risks now, throwing out these super deep cuts and these super obscure songs, and this is where I think it pays off, and then whereas Mike is just going straight down the line, these are, straight down, and I think this pays off for Brian. So I gave it to the Flaming Lips.
This is going to be interesting. So that wraps the fight, and here's what we have, fellas. We have a split decision. DJ comes in straight out at a draw, 95-95. Dan, even with the score correction, still has it 94-93 for Mike McKloskey's list, and then Todd has it 97-93 for Brian's list. So here's what I want to do. How do we decide? We have to have a winner because there's no ties in the playoffs here.
I had a draw. I think that Mike had the two worst songs in the whole mixtape. It would have been the Rat song and the Guns N' Roses song. I don't know if that matters, if you want to use that in some way.
No, I think it's fair. You guys are the ones that did the deepest dive of anybody. Dan, what are your thoughts on this? Since it is such a close fight, how would you want to decide it?
So if it had been, I think as an overall body of work, I think Mike did better. However, Brian threw in a couple of Hail Marys there, 80-yard touchdown passes. The song To Make You Feel My Love, I've got a daughter that turned 18, another stepdaughter that's getting ready to turn 18, and it brings a lot of emotion for me personally.
Yeah.
Because it's just whatever I have to do for my girls, I'm going to do it. It's just body of work. I would have to give it to Mike overall.
Okay, that's fine, and that's how your score goes too. Todd, any thoughts on how we break this tie?
I really don't. I was strongly favored Brian's list, and as usual, I tried to score everything without looking at the spreadsheet.
Sure.
And I made notes of which ones to re-listen and revisit. But as objective as I could be, I came down pretty strongly for Brian. I think it's a more eclectic list. I think it's something I would probably listen to.
Right.
but I think Mike's is a mood. It's like a big mood. There's a straight, it's in a straight zone. It's not all over the place. So if you're in the mood for that, that's what you're going to listen to.
There's nothing wrong with the list.
You're driving your Charger down 46 late at night. This is the one you're going to listen to.
Yeah, or your V6 powered Pinto with the race packet.
Your Gremlin.
The other thing, and I'm bringing us to you guys so we can kind of confer. Of the 4 CompuBox judges, and I, of course, have one of them, 3 of the 4 judges for sure find for Brian's list, and the other one is also a tie. And so when we look at the overall numbers, the total points for Brian are 667 to Mike's 659. That's all the judges scoring. So there does start to have some separation. Are we comfortable calling this for Brian with those things and with DJs saying, if I had to pick a side, I pick Brian? Are we okay with that as judges?
I think I'm okay with it. In my mind, Brian has the better mixtape. I really went over this a lot, and I don't know how I came out to a tie, but every time I did it, I ended up the same way. So, but in my mind, Brian has the better mixtape.
Yeah, and I think you're saying the key thing here is the floor of the album is often more important than the peaks. And if what you're saying is that Used to Love Her, which is pretty terrible, quite honestly, and then Rat just, you could have put Round and Round on there and might have done better. At least it's catchier. But if that's what you want to say, is that those 2 songs make the floor of Mike's
album. Even the
album.
Motley Crue song is close to the Rat song. I mean, yeah. His peaks, he hit the right notes at the right time to make it a tie, but I'm not sure how that happened.
All right, well, that's what it's going to be then, because you were the guy that scored at a tie, and if you want to break the tie by calling it for Brian, then we're going to go with that. So Brian Theis in a split decision, overtime drawbreaker.
Although we've had a few instances where the numbers have been wrong, this is one time where the numbers were just screaming at me about what could happen. If you noticed in the pre-fight, I said it looks like it could either be ties or it could be a blowout for Brian, depending on how those tied rounds favored by the judges. And wow, boy, the numbers were screaming at me. I should have gone directly with what they said, because we turned out we have 2 judges tie. One judge is giving it heavily favored to Brian, which is what the numbers say. So I'm just going to drop the mic here, and good job, guys. Looking very forward to the finals. I think it's going to be fun. Everybody who submitted playlists did fantastic jobs with great songs. Don't take anybody's criticism to heart. We have to nitpick to do our job to make this a competition. Congratulations to all. We'll see you in the finals.
And what a fantastic album fight that was. So let me do this real quick. The disclaimer is this. Look, we love these albums, and I very much appreciate Mike and Brian putting their hard work. It isn't that we didn't like any aspect of these things in general. We love these things. It was an absolute pleasure for me, I know, personally, to listen to them. And, of course, all of the acts on here, we love this music, all of it, whether it was new music to us or whatever. We're supporting these acts. We want you guys to support them when they come in, when they're live, and when you have shirts and songs, spin them on Spotify so they get paid, all of those things. And I want to thank you guys for taking your time as we hit the Christmas holidays. I know everybody's got, I'm about to leave for a party. I think Todd is late to a party, so I appreciate you guys coming on and hanging out with me on a Sunday afternoon.
Thank you for the invitation.
Any closing thoughts, Todd?
Yeah, there was no example of philia, which is deep kind of friendship or platonic desire. That may not make for a very good song, but we covered all the other ones pretty well.
Do you realize, couldn't that be Philos?
See, I saw that as more agape, but it could be. You're right. It could be like a friendship. You're right.
Could be. All right. Dan, any final thoughts?
Yeah. I really feel like I definitely drove the short bus here. I don't have the worldly knowledge, I think, of everybody, but Brian turned me on to a couple of songs I'd never heard before, and I'm definitely going to download them on iTunes and keep them on my playlist.
DJ.
Yeah, I agree. Brian, this Avett Brothers song is going in heavy rotation on a lot of my playlists. It hurt my heart that it didn't win. It just worked out that way. Yeah. I liked both. I'm surprised I liked Mike's as much as I did, and some of those songs I'm going to be listening to again as well. And the last thing I'll say is Patty Boyd. Wow, like she's got all these people writing songs about her.
Yeah.
Just researching this song, I was like, man, what is it with Patty Boyd?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then I have one more thing to say. Dan, you don't get to beat yourself up like that. You did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
You've listened to a ton of music. You had great opinions. So I appreciate you coming on and do it. And I hope all three of you guys will come back and do more album fights with us because I just love the hell out of this thing.
I do too.
Absolutely.